There's a place on earth more pure, more enchanting, and more beguiling than your wildest imagination, and we've exploited the shit out of it. Leave your tiny 70-square-foot New York apartment to experience a weekend in our luxurious 5-star resorts, where the locals are underpaid and overworked, so you can enjoy the fantasy of momentarily living above your means. Or perhaps immerse yourself in the culture in one of the millions of Airbnbs, surrounded by neighbors, wanderlust explorers, just like you, because the landlords kicked out all the locals to make more money with short-term rentals. Go out to eat and taste an array of endangered creatures before they go extinct, and take photos next to drugged exotic animals for your Tinder profile. Leave nothing but footsteps behind, and also some plastic water bottles and coffee cups and cigarette butts and CO2 emissions from your flight to get here. But don't worry about that. You don't live here, so it's not your problem. Vacation land, paradise for the tourists, hell for the locals. I feel like today's expose video is the one that I've struggled the most to make. Not only am I not excited to talk to you guys about it, not only do I know you will not enjoy hearing about it, but also it's been a long process for me personally to accept all this information. It's a lot of tough pills to swallow today, and I hope you don't shoot the messenger, but instead understand that I'm just giving you the information, okay? I'm not the one responsible for it. Let's keep that in mind. Since none of us can travel anyways right now or go on vacation or hop on planes, I feel like this is the best time for me to just talk about how crappy the tourism industry is, how devastating it is for local communities, the environment, animals. Having been a tourist myself in foreign countries, I have gained so much. Unfortunately, in hindsight, I know that I did not give back as much as I received, because all I managed to give was money, and that should be enough. But unfortunately, it's not. And I'm gonna get a little bit more into the ways that we do more damage than good through becoming tourists. When it comes to the aviation industry, it's responsible for 4.9% of all man-made global warming. Only 10% of the human population flies in airplanes, but it's responsible for 12% of all transport emissions. And then unlike other fuels, kerosene, which is the fuel that is used in the aviation industry, is not taxed. Also, the aviation industry receives massive subsidies. The aviation industry is also using politics that are assaulting alternative sustainable modes of transport. For example, cross-border trains. Also, the aviation industry lobbied its way out of the Paris Agreement. Aircraft manufacturers are linked to the war industrial complex. And when it comes to Airbus specifically, 20% of their sales are for military equipment. And then for Boeing, it's 50%. So the companies that are profiting off of the aviation industry are also profiting off of the war industrial complex. So that's a fun fact that I didn't know about when I was doing this research. Another thing that I didn't know before doing this research, it turns out carbon offsetting is for the most part greenwashing. The emissions that are offset through projects in the global south, for example, hydroelectric dams, lead to displacing local people, destroying ecosystems. So you really need to do your research before you purchase carbon offsetting for your flight. So now that I've analyzed the impact of the aviation industry, I think we should also get into the cruise industry. Fun fact about the cruise industry: in one day, the average cruise ship emits more soot than 1 million cars emit in one day. Another fun fact: one cruise ship emits 150,000 gallons of human sewage in 1 week, and also 1 billion gallons of human sewage in 1 year. That's a lot of human sewage. The cruise industry contributes to an increase in air pollution in coastal cities, and also through that it results in many more deaths per year because of that pollution. So in order to be a tourist, you need to be transported in order to get you to your destination. But once you get there, you are now a tourist, and we're gonna get into the problems of that. The tourism industry contributes to 8% of all greenhouse gas emissions. Also, 55% of all traffic movement globally is due to the tourism industry. A huge problem with the fact that more and more people now are traveling and going on vacation is the Airbnb effect. Many cities now have been turned into hotels created for the accommodation of tourists, but unfortunately they're not that much accommodating to the local residents anymore, leading to the rise of rent prices and also the rise in property prices. It's destroying the business for small hotels, and a lot of Airbnb owners do all the cleaning themselves and they don't have any staff, whereas a local hotel or an inn would have cleaners, would have staff, and would employ people. So Airbnb is also leading to a rise in even more unemployment, because that's really what we need right now. Another thing about Airbnb for me personally, living here in Athens, we went from having so many options as renters, because I'm not a property owner, I'm a renter, and we've reached a point now that because of Airbnb and because Greece is such a popular tourist destination, us locals can no longer find any decent places to rent because of Airbnb, and because our government is extremely corrupt and it's not really enforcing any laws preventing from Airbnbs just taking over. It's much more profitable for renters to own an Airbnb instead of rent it off. So yeah, people like me and people that are way less privileged than me are struggling right now in Athens to find a single place to rent that is affordable, because instead we're allowing the city to become an accommodation for tourists. It's not fair, and if you ever visit Greece as a tourist, don't ever stay in an Airbnb or I will find you. But Airbnbs are not the only problem. Multinational conglomerate hotels can also lead to the degradation and loss of natural ecosystems, from improper development of infrastructures like sand and beach mining to encroachment into natural habitat of plants and animal species, and also to deforestation. And then there's multiple social problems like tourists treating locals as photo props. Another problem is when tourists partake and also help exacerbate animal exploitation. That's something that we see a lot in Asia, with tourists riding elephants, going to tiger zoos. These animals are not meant to be vehicles or used as accessories in photos, and a lot of tourists still don't know that elephants have to endure severe torture in order for them to be trained to become vehicles for tourists. And tigers in the zoos, they're just drugged, and just a lot of people do know, but they just don't care because they gotta get that Facebook photo. You gotta get those likes, right? Tourism is also leading to the destruction of coral reefs, and also consuming animals in tourist destinations can lead to the endangerment or even extinction of those species. Here in Greece, for example, tourists come and they want their calamari and their octopus and their shrimp and their fish, but the thing is that every year there are less and less animals in the sea. The Mediterranean really is on the verge of just being completely empty, and that just shows extreme disregard and ignorance of the country that you're visiting. And then there's other problems like noise pollution, sewage generation, garbage waste, and water depletion that are all big problems when it comes to an increase in tourism in any area. Tourism also leads to inflation, especially in countries that are poor, which leads to the cost of living in that country rising. So it makes it a lot harder for the locals to be able to afford to live in their own country. There are many benefits to tourism, of course. Personal benefits for those that do travel. They get to explore, they get to learn things about different cultures, they broaden their horizons. Also, tourism can lead to more jobs being created. Ecotourism can be very helpful as well. And tourism can also lead to helping preserve historical buildings, which is great. And of course, financial benefits come with a lot of positives, but unfortunately, when those financial benefits are only going to the hands of the few that are rich enough to have businesses that allows them to profit off of the tourism industry, that leaves everyone else that isn't profiting from the tourism industry actually losing, because money concentrates in the hands of the 1%, even in the tourist industry. Another personal dilemma that I've also had is how comfortable can we all feel with the fact that even though the tourism industry pays well, it still underpays people. Let's be real. It makes me feel uncomfortable to know that there are places that I can travel to where I can have like an amazing experience, but the locals can't even afford to have it. It troubles me. Okay, so what are the solutions? Because I'm sure we have a Karen somewhere here being like, I don't care about the people, about the environment, it's my money and I want to do whatever I want with it because it's my God-given right to spend my money any way I want. And I want a trip and I want it now and I want to go wherever I want. All right, Karen, don't worry, I have a plan for you. So number one tip to travel ethically is to vacation locally. Another thing you can try to do is, instead of flying somewhere, traveling by train. If that's not an option, then if you are gonna fly, make sure you limit your flying as much as you possibly can, or stop it completely. Ways to limit your flying is through traveling less and staying longer in a destination. You can also use the environmental footprint calculator that I'm gonna link in the description box in order to be able to calculate how long you can fly, how far you can fly away without having a terrible impact on the environment. Also, if you're gonna be offsetting your carbon emissions, make sure you find a company that isn't greenwashing. Another thing you can do is, of course, fly economy. If you're not flying economy, why are you such a massive piece of shit? Another way to be more eco-friendly is by choosing direct flights, because emissions during takeoff and landing are always higher. Another thing is never go on a cruise. Don't do it. Why do people go on cruises? I never understood. How do you get the money to waste it on such horrible things?
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Also, do not stay in Airbnbs. I hope I made that clear before. Also, don't stay in multinational hotels. Instead, choose to support small local hotel or inn owners. Also, another way to be more sustainable is through avoiding hotels with pools, because pools increase the water usage. Consider ecotourism. Obviously, that can come with like its own bag of worms. Basically, ecotourism done right can help protect natural habitats, but there's a lot of greenwashing going around in that industry as well. So make sure you check and then double check the destination where you are going to partake in ecotourism, and make sure that you are not contributing to leading to a lack of income prospects for locals. Some ecotourism leads to displacement of local residents and compromising of the land. So yeah, you don't want to do that if you're doing ecotourism. So make sure you verify that this is a place that you're going to that is actually going to do more good than harm. Our actions have a greater global impact that we need to accept. And it's not easy, because none of this stuff is easy. We've grown up in a world where we have things the moment that we want them. There's a lot of grace that comes with the ability to control yourself and your desires, and think about the impact that those have on others, and not only think about ourselves. Damn, that was really beautiful, so poetic. I am amazed at myself for making that sentence. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please know that it does not give me any joy at all to ruin everything for you on my YouTube channel. I've ruined fast fashion for you. I've ruined meat and dairy for you. I've ruined technology. I've ruined everything, and now I'm ruining traveling and vacation for you. I'm the worst, but thank you so much for watching. And if you did like it, share this video with as many people as you can, subscribe, like, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. Bye.